Hey everybody, welcome back. We're finally back into the 1113 project. We're out of the hot seat on that Super M. We got all of our season critical tasks completed for that. We're not racing Mother Nature anymore, so now it's time to get into this and basically ensure we have some pieces for winter projects. Boy, it's been a while since I've been into this. It's pretty much all as I remember it though. So we're going to start busting this whole back end down today. The goal is to get all this stuff broken down into sub-assemblies. Don't know if we're going to get it all done today. They're kind of talking maybe some weather moving in, but we'll see how far we can get. Of course, we're going to have to do a lot of work back here. That whole bell housing area was rusted badly. You can see clutch disc had stuck in the flywheel. We got plenty of deposits in the bottom, so there's a lot that has to be done in there. We're going to do full undercarriage rehab while we're at it. We have, well, the main clutch lever has been broken off. I think something came down and crashed on this at one point. We had some stuck steering clutches when we first hauled it home. This lever feels pretty good. This one's a little bit slow to respond, but it's not absolutely stuck. And one thing I noticed, when I pull one lever, the other one moves. So watch, I'll pull this one, watch this. I'll pull this one, watch this one. See how they jump like that? That indicates some loose bevel gear cross shaft bearings, worn bearings, or just shims that need to be removed to tighten all that back up again. So plenty to do in here between steering clutches, all that bevel gear cross shaft stuff. We'll take a good look at the final drives while we're at it and just get this thing all around taken down. So I think what I'm going to do is just start with sheet metal. We'll get this seat tank off here, get the fenders off here, and then just start whittling after that. There. Hopefully gets a little easier now. Kind of starting to think I probably should have checked to see how much fuel is in this thing first, huh? Woo. Yeah, there we go. Just like I knew what I was doing or something. I'll guarantee that is not ultra low sulfur. Alright, so what I've been keeping busy with for the last few minutes is getting the rock guards off of the undercarriage. You can see I've got the inner ones off. That's going to help me to get the track chains off of these anyway. The outer ones have the bump outs that protect the button head fittings. So we'll take that last bolt. Peel this off and see what we've got. I tell you what, I see old dried grease on these things, which is a good sign. It means somebody at least had been pumping something into there. That's this side. I'll do the other side next. Okay. Yeah, we got lots of old grease over here. So somebody been shooting it full. Okay, so next we're going to slack track. So to do that, you have these two bolts go through This yoke right here, a couple nuts over there, loosen those. That acts like a pinch mechanism to keep the adjuster nut from turning. I got these loose here on this yoke, and I also loosened the ones over there. I've got these sprayed down with some penetrating oil, and they have both started to move, so that's a good thing. Here's the authentic Caterpillar D2 track adjuster wrench, the 2F5131. It's a 2 1/4 inch wrench made by, this one's an Armstrong, so high quality wrench right here. Excuse me. You're certainly not going to spread it at all, so, or spring it, I should say. So sometimes you have to change position, flip it over like that, get that extra little bit of rotation. Go back the other way, and we'll just keep running this thing back until we have a nice sag in that track line. Okay, had a bit of an interruption for a little bit of rain, but the sun has come back out so we can resume work again. So both tracks are slacked, and these are pretty small and are fairly light. So when I can get this much slack on these D2 chains, I don't even bother with splitting them with the master pin. I just loop them right off. If I wanted to fight with those rusty master pins, I could have a better time of it if I laid the coil on its side and then attacked it that way. So. And I also put down a little sacrificial strip of old plywood when I start sliding those out from beneath the rollers. They slide on that plywood a lot better than the soft ground. So got everything jacked up. See if we can get out a glare here enough to see. There you go. Jacked up at the front here, and just with the bottle jack down there, just enough to get those bottom rollers disengaged from the chain. So I used to do this entirely by hand, manually with some pry bars. I've got a backhoe now, so we're going to see if that actually makes the process more complicated. Okay, so that didn't go so bad. First side was a little herky-jerky. Second side went a lot smoother. If I had a third side and a fourth side, I'd probably be able to fool you guys into thinking that I actually know what I'm doing. So track chains are laid out right there, and I have them positioned right, left, just as they were on the machine, right, left, because you kind of want to keep all those parts that are worn to each other in the same positions, and at least until you know if you're going to be reusing all that stuff or not. So you can see I've got this thing set with the sprockets on 6x6 blocks back there, and we have the bell housing canted down just a bit, and then also the track frames pointed up. That is because you need to make clearance to get this back roller out from around that sprocket, because the drive sprocket actually goes between those roller flanges just a bit when everything's on the flat and level. So you have two options. You can either raise the back of the chassis, which was pretty easy for me to do with the jacks and the blocks I have out, or you have to really raise the fronts of the track frames to get those to slide right off. That is without just taking the back roller off and making yourself the necessary room. That's the route that I chose to go. So I want to take just a second to show you guys some more of this first gen tech that 1113 has. Early stuff. You can see where we have this grease fitting goes into that street L and into the main pivot shaft where the track frame pivots on it, and we have a cap that does not have a fitting. That's your early setup right there. Again, we'll go into the parts manual, and you can see 5J1 through 5J1644 use that early track frame. At 1645 there is no more grease fitting back there where you see that one, and that's what basically the rest of the D2 production run had. So all the other D2s made, even up into the U series, had this fitting, which, well, this is regular grease zerk fitting here that goes in there. They actually had a spot on the cap right here where most times they had a large Elamite fitting. And we'll use 2115's poor old carcass to show you, just like that. So they did not have the fitting that went in there. Everything was out here on the cap. That is what you will most times see on a Caterpillar D2. So with the cap removed, we've got these two bolts here that have a fold-over lock beneath them, and they retain this thrust plate. Those thread right into the end of the pivot shaft, and there's also a shim stack beneath there. That is what centers the track frame and mainly the roller flanges with the center line of the drive sprockets. So these are basically, you know, numerically dependent side to side. I don't really try and keep track of these because when I'm going to do a full refurb on one of these, I usually end up resetting these shims anyway. So that's how the track frame is retained. So basically this thing can just slide right off the pivot shaft at this point. Well, I'll tell you what, sun's getting pretty low in the sky, but we got a lot done on 1113 today. And I just realized my external mic was unplugged, so I'm not sure what the audio is going to be up to this point, but we'll get it. So track frames are set over here next to the track chains. Everything here is on a plank, so later this winter when it's cold and everything's frozen, none of this stuff is going to be stuck down to the ground. little bit left to do on here. I want to take the drawbar and swing plate off, then pivot shaft, and then final drives and see how they separate away from the case. And that'll be as far as I need to take 1113s back in down for sub-assemblies for winter projects. So yeah, getting dark out here, dang it. Everything was going pretty well. I want to keep going, but we'll cover things here, put tools away, and probably hit it hard again tomorrow. Thanks for watching, everybody.